Hi, my name is Kenty, and I've been coming to the LAMC for quite a few years as an independent musician. I'm always fascinated by touring, always want to learn more and more because it's something I want to do, I like to do, and a lot of my friends want to do as well. So I would like to invite you to check out this panel on touring right here at the LAMC 2024, and I see you all in New York.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michel Vega from Magnus Talent Agency, and I want to welcome everyone to LAMC's De Gira panel. We are super excited. We have an amazing group of veteran industry experts coming to you from 6 different countries and as many time zones. And so we're going to have a great time talking about the current state of the touring industry throughout the world. I want to thank also the sponsor of the panel, which is Loud and Live. And with that, what I'd love to do now is begin by having all of our great panelists introduce themselves. So Mr. Gil Gastelum, please say hello to everyone.
Thank you, Michel. Hola todos. My name is Gil Gastelum, as Michel said. I'm the founder, owner of Cosmica Artists. This coming June, we'll be celebrating 20 years of existence. We're an artist label and management company. We're the home to Carla Morrison, Gaby Moreno, the Red Pears, Luna Luna, and a couple other artists. And it's a pleasure to be here with all of you.
Great. Matías.
Hola a todos. Hi, everybody. I'm Matías Lóizaga from Argentina, PopArt. I'm a partner there. PopArt has been in the business for 25 years, most started in Argentina, but we promote and represent artists all around the world. We're mostly known by being managers of, for example, Soda Stereo, Los Fabulosos Cadillacs. We also have a label. We have Babasónicos on that label. We promote big festivals in Argentina, such as Primavera Sound, and we create shows all around the world. We have done a show with Cirque du Soleil and Soda Stereo, and now currently one with Messi, the football player. And we also promote and co-promote shows, not only in Argentina, but in Uruguay, Paraguay, even in Spain. So that's a basic idea of what we do.
Great.
Nice.
Seba.
Hello, everyone. Here is Sebastián de la Barra from Lotus, one of the founders. We've been in business since 2005, for almost 20 years. We've been here promoting Lollapalooza Chile since year 1, 2011, and we've been involved since then in different hidden shows, from Sting, Black Sabbath, Pearl Jam, to other very cool events like the last edition of the Pan American Games. We did all the ceremonies. I don't know, we've been involved with Cirque du Soleil, with Mati in the Soda Stereo and other traditional Cirque du Soleils, etc. So we are involved basically in the live music industry. We now manage some bands. Yeah, we've been opening some divisions of ticketing companies and also this booking management and record label as well since last year. So here we are, happy to be here with all of you guys.
Great. And the second Gil?
Hi, everybody. I'm Gilbert Paz. I'm Vice President of Entertainment Business Operations at Loud and Live. Loud and Live was opened in 2017, and one of the top promoters of Latin music in the US. We work all the way from Canada down to Argentina. We also develop IP, events, festivals, have an entire marketing and full service agency within the company as well.
Fantastic. Jorge.
Buenos días a todos. Jorge Garcia, Global Tour Promoter para Live Nation, enfocado en música latina en todo el mundo.
Fantástico. Catalina.
Buenos días a todos. Soy Catalina Amador de Páramo Presenta, una de las compañías o la compañía más grande hoy por hoy en Colombia. Somos los creadores del Festival Estéreo Picnic, del Festival Cordillera, del Baum Festival. Promovemos alrededor de 110, 120 shows anuales y hoy por hoy pues soy promotora senior en la compañía. Yo lidero una división nueva que se creó hace 5 años, que se llama Isla Presenta. Isla Presenta es la encargada de todo el booking y la promotoría de todo el contenido latino pop, adulto y ahora recientemente el K-pop.
Okay, gracias, Catalina. And we also have Leizer, who will be joining us from OCESA. And at the moment, he was having some technical difficulties logging in, but hopefully he'll be able to join us soon. Ah, there he is. It's magic. Leizer, ¿cómo estás?
Thank you.
Hola a todos. Good morning.
Good
Sorry.
morning. Good morning. Maybe you could just introduce yourself very quickly. The rest have done so, and then we can jump into the panel.
I'm Leizer Guss. I work at a company called OCESA. I don't know where to start. Like, how broad do you want me to go? I'm director of festivals for OCESA. That's what I do.
Great. So, we have a terrific group assembled here. As I said during the opening, we have promoters, we have festivals, we have some managers, and one of the first things I'd like to explore is something that's been coming up more and more in the last years, and that's really where the digital world meshes or doesn't, excuse me, with the live touring industry, and with the growth of social media, with the growth of influencers, with the growth of change in consumption, what does that mean for the live business? And specifically, as festival bookers and as promoters, I'd like to hear from you how you measure the possibilities of at the hour of contracting an artist or deciding to put one on a festival. How much import do you put on the social media audience of an artist versus what their ticket sales history may have been, and what is that relationship, if there is a relationship at all? Sebas, for instance, like how do you, when you're looking to promote or produce a Lollapalooza, how do you what's the process of determining whether an artist would be a candidate for your future festival?
Great question. I mean, first of all, Lollapalooza in South America is a complex equation because you gotta find that balance between what Brazil, Colombia, Argentina, and Chile thinks about an artist. So in the end, we are trying to secure artists who works for different audiences, for different markets in South America. And that crossover sometimes doesn't allow to have what we want in Chile, for example. I mean, in terms of headliners, that maybe an ex-headliner won't work that well in Brazil, as an example, etc. But I would say that in general, those digital numbers, they do help a lot to define for breaking artists as an instance, if this is something that it really should work on a festival. Usually it does, but I think the live show that an artist can deliver is as important as those numbers, because sometimes for different kinds of genres of music, you can see some specific artists that they don't have those huge numbers that perhaps a pop art act, I don't know, can have, and still deliver an amazing show and I don't know, like engage with the local audience and build a career in Chile in this case for the future, So I do think that's important, but I think managers or agents should know well when and where to hit that specific market. I mean, when, depending to the music that they are releasing, the moment of the career, I think that it is always great and important to combine on the cycle of an artist on a specific market, that combination between playing festivals and reaching to new audiences, but also coming after the festivals and keep developing that market, because we have seen both cases. And some cases that people some artists just wait too long and the magic disappear, right, with those fans. So I think it's important to keep coming back to those markets where you went to festivals as a, like in general, not always, but I think that combination is important to develop an artist in Chile, for example.
Yeah.
I want to give you I want to give you an example, Michelle. Last year, when we were presented with the opportunity to partner up with Peso Pluma for his US tour, the first time that we spoke about it with management, he was sitting on 6 million monthly listeners on Spotify. 2 weeks later, by the time we had built a business plan, he was already at 14. So we had to scrap that plan and build a new one. By the time we finished that one, he was double the numbers. So at that point, we just went as big as we could. So the data definitely helped us direct it in the right direction.
Yeah.
So, but is that the norm, or
No.
is he an outlier?
He's a special he's a case study for the ages, right? But the data of the listeners and the followers is very important to keep track on, and you do make some decisions based on that.
So is it about is the important index for you all Spotify monthly listeners, or is it TikTok followers? Where does that play in
Definitely a combination. Definitely a combination.
Agree.
Definitely
Yeah.
Agreed. Combination of
Agree as well.
not only the Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, right? The YouTube, their engagement rates sometimes are really important. They can have a lot of followers, but not a lot of engagement. And we sometimes see a lot of the opposite, right? Artists that maybe have the millions and millions of streams, you think it's going to really do super well and connect with the fan when it comes to the live part, doesn't sell the tickets, as well as maybe artists that have a quarter of those streams. And those are the ones that are selling out arenas and sometimes the stadiums, right? Because their fan base may not necessarily live on some of those digital platforms. So it's really, there's not a true science to it, right? So it's artist by artist, I think even genre by genre as well.
Yeah,
I was gonna say the same. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
okay. Yeah, I agree with Gilbert. I think it's not the norm. It highly depends on the audience you are targeting. For example, here in Colombia with national artists, you can see artists that have developed a career for more than 30 years. Their numbers are not that good, but they can sell thousands of tickets. So it's not the norm. Cases like Peso Pluma are an outlier, and you have to learn how to balance between your guts, the development of the market, and this data that is everywhere now.
So it sounds like it might be.
I agree with Kata. No, one thing, Michel, sorry to interrupt. What we see in Argentina, we have a phenomenon with rock artists that maybe are very, very popular and in terms of selling hard tickets, but that not popular in terms of social media or streaming. I can think of La Renga or the traditional Los Redonditos de Ricota. These are artists that maybe sell at stadiums, and maybe the monthly listeners is almost less than 10,000, I would say. So you can see that there's not a certain rule, and in fact, I can see that there's a lot of artists that are huge, maybe mostly like trap artists or artists that tend to be more influencers than artists, that have a lot of listeners, but that doesn't translate into hard ticket sales. There's a less engaged audience in terms of going and buying the ticket of that certain show. So it's challenging. I think it's changing the paradigm of what consumption is. I think there's a less engagement in terms of audience. It doesn't translate the same as if you have a million monthly listeners in Spotify, that means that you're gonna sell 1 million tickets. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But you can take some information which is valuable as well.
It sounds like it might be generational in terms of how much weight you put into social media stats or digital consumption stats versus ticket sales history. You know, if you have an artist that's, you know, has a longer career that maybe even predates a lot of the social media era, you rely more on ticket sale data, I would think, than on their current social media stats to you know, to make decisions on, you know, what venue and, you know, what slot and, you know, where they might fit into your programming mix. Leizer, I've always been curious about Mexico. You know, Mexico is the country in the world that has the highest per capita usage rate for Spotify, right?
The city, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm assuming that you also put a lot of import on the monthly listeners as well in your decision making.
Yeah, I mean, just summing up pretty much what everyone said in our world, or in my world at least, when it comes to booking festivals, I think the first kind of criteria we look at is hard ticket data, just hard ticket selling data in the market. That generally, as music evolves and as consumption evolves, we generally tend to have less data because there are very big artists that is their first time playing, and they're huge on digital media, call it Spotify or not. So we tend to not have that data available. But whenever there's a tie on billing, or whenever just like we're deciding if we're going for one act or the other, I would say hard ticket history in the market is the first criteria. The second criteria, I agree with everyone, it's a mix of everything, but I do tend to put a little more weight on Spotify than kind of like the other social media. I understand the importance and the relevance of TikTok and Instagram, but first of all, they are a little more complicated to understand from a promoter standpoint. If we don't have like all of the artist like the insights that the platforms give the artists are not sometimes public to us, and we would have to go one by one. Like, it would be very hard to, so we do weight it a little more on Spotify, at least we do. And yeah, I mean, the fact that Mexico City has the biggest per capita stream of any city in the world, it definitely makes for some very interesting conversations. I mean, just artists or all artists that say, this is our biggest streaming market, we have to go, we're gonna be huge, and then they start figuring out some surprises, you know, that just streaming on Spotify and selling a ticket is not the same. It's not free. It has a different connotation. For us, the only thing I would say is it's more of a red flag if Mexico City is not on your top 5, more than it is that interesting that Mexico City is your top city.
That's interesting. I never considered the reverse, but that makes a lot of sense. So Gil, the non-Loud Live Gil Gastelum, you're the manager on this panel. Interested to hear your thoughts on what you do, how you present an artist that perhaps doesn't have those high, you know, social media numbers or digital consumption numbers, but obviously still are completely viable as considerations for festivals. What's the manager's role in all of that? You're on mute, I believe.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, thank you, Michelle, and it's really wonderful to hear everybody's insights on this, because it is sort of like the other side of the coin, in like, how do I come to you guys and present an artist in a credible way? So absolutely, you know, and I have artists that are that way, you know, like I'll for example, Gabi Moreno, she doesn't have the biggest social media presence or the biggest streaming numbers, but she's developing really well on the live ticket. So you still have to do the balance. You still have to like, you know, if that's the case for us, what I like to do is I like to try to create assets such as highlight reels of them performing live and making sure that people can see the audiences, the size of audiences that she's performing at, so that we can provide an example. It's like, hey, you know what? And transparency is always great. Any booking agent that I work with, any promoter that I'm in direct contact with, I will be transparent. I'll say, look, if you look at her Spotify numbers, it's not going to blow you away. But here is what she looks like live. And of course, we want the music to speak for itself as well. Pero también, like, look at the audience that she's playing with. Look at and building up the resume as best as you possibly can. Like, you know, offhand, she played Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival last year. Not on everybody's tip of the tongue, but she played in front of 10,000 people. And so those are the kind of things that we can present to the promoter and say, look, you know, and she has enough of a you know, a good history in terms of like, we can show like people are engaging in certain places. Like we'll show Shazam numbers, we'll show all the different, you know, other things other than just maybe just the streaming content or streaming numbers that I think are relevant to you know, showing a promoter it's worth at least taking a look at.
Great. So, you know, another great aspect of this panel is that we have so many people from so many different markets, right? I'd love to explore a little bit about the eccentricities, if you will, in your own local markets. For instance, Catalina, ¿cuáles son los desafíos? What are the challenges that you have working in Colombia that maybe some of your other that are specific to Colombia, right? That maybe aren't the types of things that other festival promoters may experience because of the fact that you're in Colombia?
Well, I think we have to go back like around 15 to 20 years. Colombia is now a developed market, but we are still a little bit behind from Mexico, from Chile, and I think the major challenges we still face are the lack of venues. I mean, we have been having the Movistar Arena for the past 6 years. That, of course, has moved the industry upside down, and it has opened the possibility for international acts and even national acts to develop their show. Nowadays, Colombia, I mean, we can say that we are in the spotlight of every international act that come. Thanks for the festivals and these new venues. But not what we face is that between 10,000 people capacity and a stadium that can be 35 to 40,000 people, we still don't have like an accurate venue. Of course, there is the new Coliseo Med Plus, but we still lack this kind of venues, and it is even worse in between 1,000 capacity and 3,000 capacity. So that's the eccentricities we face, because of course we face managers that ask for I don't know, thousands of fee for an artist, and unfortunately we still have to let go some offers because we don't have like the proper venues to present those artists. And if I go to the low capacity venues, we don't have like the proper venues to keep developing the artists as we should. I think that's the main eccentricity and the main difference between especially Chile and Mexico.
I wanna add, Catalina, that in Chile, we still have the same big problem. Let's say stadiums. We don't have a stadium for live music. There's a huge debate with the politicians because all the stadiums are. I mean, there's the national stadium owned by the government, and the people in Chile are always saying that this has to be prioritized by the soccer and sports and not the music. And there's right now a huge debate. We sometimes miss some big tours of stadium shows, but also having one arena after the pandemic, it is almost fully booked. For example, this whole year, we don't have good dates for this year, for example. So we are already booking for next year because we need that second arena that you might have in Colombia now or in Buenos Aires. So that lack of proper venue for music, I think, is the big concern. Same for the small theaters. You know, I mean, the Caupolicán is not a super international venue. It has a lot of problems. So in the end, I would say that for us right now, 2024, 2025, that could be one of the big tasks to improve in our market as well.
Sure. Matías, I can't imagine the challenges that you have in Argentina. Maybe you can share some of those with us.
I mean, I imagine you already, or you read the papers. Unfortunately, we're well known for our economic crisis. So for the past, I would say, 20 years, we've been in a roller coaster of economic crisis, from economic crisis to another one. We sell a lot of tickets, unfortunately, not at the face value that we would like to. We have had many types of exchange rates. The past year was the craziest year. I think we had even 10 types of exchange rates. And it was always a mystery if a wire transfer was to be able to go through or not. So unfortunately, that has been the most important news from Argentina, and all of the promoters here cry a lot, and it's real lágrimas, because we have also a huge inflation rate, so it's very hard to keep up with ticket prices. So, for example, last year Primavera Sound ended having a average ticket price of, I would say, $30. And we started with a $60 ticket price. So it was impossible to keep up, increasing prices. So that's very challenging. In order to make a P&L or a business plan, it's, you have to be a wizard in order to know how it's going to finish at the end of the day. So you have to always think long term. We've been thinking that way since the founding of PopArt. That's why we tended up of being more owners of content than only buying content and promoting content here. Because if you only think of Argentina, then basically you're fucked. So sorry for the spread for the French, but it's the unfortunate reality of our beloved country.
Yeah. Jorge, you've had some great success in the Mexican music market. Can you share with us some of the secrets to working in that area?
I mean, I can share the sauce, but not the secret. Look, we're having a wonderful time with Mexican music. It exploded and it's going global. Fuerza Regida started playing in tiny clubs, self-promoted in 300 capacities. And a couple of years later, we started doing arenas and selling out every single one of them in amphitheaters in markets that you wouldn't imagine, like outside of Washington, D.C. Last year, they sold almost 20,000 tickets at the amphitheater and sold out BMO Stadium on sale. By 3 p.m., there was not one single ticket. So these are stories that are encouraging. The genre is going everywhere. Peso Pluma did a couple of arena shows in Spain last year, sold out Wissing Center, amazing show, and also Palau San Jordi. Junior H is, started also in small, venues and jumped all the way to selling out arenas on sale. So I think the genre, it's having a great moment, and we're happy to be behind a lot of those projects.
You brought us some great examples. The second part of my question was going to be, is the live audience 100% Mexican, or is it crossing over, to other audiences? Is the genre expanding outside of the base?
It already expanded. The fact that this artist can sell out an arena in Miami, and you can walk around the aisles and see all the different flags and all the different cultures all together in one single venue, 12,000 people from everywhere in Latin America. It already, ya explotó y ya se salió de las barreras, ¿no? Ya se salió de las barreras. Creo que la música la están aceptando en todas las culturas, inclusive en non-speaking cultures, ¿no? Entonces, creo que yo no creo que va ni a la mitad del crecimiento.
It's super interesting, and that's a great example. And we're seeing more and more of the examples where local music is really coming to the top. Throughout Latin America as well. Argentina is having an amazing moment where you have 10 artists from Argentina right now that are touring globally. I can't remember a time in the last 30 years when that was the case. And you look at going back to streaming numbers again, 10 years ago in Latin America, in places like Argentina or places like Chile, most of the music that was in the top 10 of consumption was international music. Now it's the reverse. 80% used to be international music, and now 80% in Mexico, in Argentina, in Chile is local music, which I think is an incredible phenomenon when you look at how quickly that consumer behavior changed. A lot of people attribute it to the pandemic, that international touring stopped for a good 2.5 years, and so the local music had more of an opportunity to come to the surface. But it's really a very exciting time when you talk about the number of genres that are having success right now at this time. Gilbert Paz, and exactly. I'm gonna talk to Tomas about giving me that trap to have two people with the same name on the same panel. That'll be for later. Gilbert, so I'm curious to see how you see this, because as a promoter, Loud and Live, you all are working with many different genres, not only across the United States, but also now beginning to expand internationally. How do you all decide where to invest, and what do you see as the next trend, the next genre to sort of bubble up to the top?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back to our original conversation, those tools that we were talking about on the digital streams and all of that definitely do help, at least in identifying, right, like those core markets of where we can take these artists. And we really try and drill in as much as we can. And specifically within the US, we'll use them to drill down and see if, is there more of an audience in Orlando versus Miami or Atlanta or Albuquerque or Portland, to determine one, venue comparison and size. If we know he's good for 4,000 tickets in Miami and he has half the number of streams in Orlando, maybe we do a 2,000 seater, right? It's not a pure science, but it's something that we look at. And then the other thing that we look at too internationally is we use Polestar, and I think many of us use Polestar as a tool, especially with the artists, Michelle, like you said earlier, that have the ticket history, to kind of have that basis and see where have they sold tickets historically. We have seen, when looking at digital numbers and streams, that an artist that may be streaming millions in Argentina, for example, selling out arenas and stadiums down there in the US, may not necessarily translate, right? There's a lot of work that still needs to be done build the artists here in the States, outside of just a digital platform, right? Radio is something that's still important, maybe for building the audience, you know, a promoter's role in doing that too, and just developing and connecting their fans locally with them live and in person still plays an important role past just that digital presence that they may have coming out of where they're at. So I mean, we look at a lot of different things when it comes to that.
Great. I have a question I've always wanted to ask Leizer, which is, how did you get such a cool name?
I was born with it. It's the name. I mean, it wasn't spelled the same, but it's the name of my great grandfather who came from Poland to Mexico.
Amazing, amazing. So, getting back to seriousness, and as a festival promoter, among other things, OCESA is in Mexico. How are you all participating in this sort of next wave of Mexican music that's having so much success everywhere, as Jorge mentioned?
I mean, first of all, I have the humongous privilege to get to talk to Jorge more often than ever in my life. A little thanks to el cariño y el amor que tenemos, y otra es por lo de Live Nation, ¿no? We're working more with Live Nation more than ever, and Jorge and Hans and his team is, I can say, the top of the line. Like, they're very connected. They're just part of the culture there, and they have kind of given us or introduced us to some of the key players in that world to keep being able to be the promoter of Mexican music in Mexico. And we're proactively also moving around to kind of empower these up and coming managers and emerging artists. So we're supporting them before they are huge, before they are massive. We launched Arre Festival in September of last year, and I mean, it was the first truly Mexican music festival of that scale, I would say. I mean, I would very blatantly say it's the biggest in the world of its kind, and it's gonna become, as festivals become kind of like the center of a community. I think Arre is gonna become the center of Mexican music moving forward. So you're gonna see a lot of the acts that are later gonna be world superstars. We're gonna hopefully have them before they explode, and Arre will become a stepping stone in their world.
And do you see, you know, you have many different festivals of many different genres, right, represented in your festival portfolio. Are you seeing the opportunity to maybe program some música mexicana mixed in with some of the other genres that you have?
Yeah, I mean, Junior H just headlined Vive Latino a couple of days ago. Peso Pluma is playing Pal Norte next week. Fuerza Régida is playing Ceremonia, I think tomorrow. So yeah, I mean,
those are all examples of artists that have already hit a critical mass. Is that what is needed to then consider them?
No, those are the ones that came to mind. But Justin Morales is also doing Ceremonia. There were a couple of others that did or have done Vive Latino. Adriel Favela comes to mind in previous years before he was as big as he is now. We did Gabito Ballesteros on Flow Fest last year. We're doing other smaller stuff. So no, I mean, I would say that Arre becomes the flagship of a new sound or of a new community. but then very slowly they do permeate into other festivals that can have a conversation at the same level. And I would say that no, you actually, like, the headliner conversation is probably the most complicated one. I'd say like the middle tier to lower tier artists, to developing artists, is the easier conversations to have.
It's super interesting. So I'd like to ask each of you the same question, if that's okay. And I'll start with Catalina. What are you the most excited about for this next year?
For this year, 2024.
Yeah.
I think we have had the fortune to promote a lot of national acts. We are now promoting Juanes tour. After 10 years, he decided to come back and do his first tour with us. We're super excited about that. We also have another huge national artist, which is Andres Cepeda. We're promoting a stadium tour around Colombia with him. And of course, there are a lot of many Latin acts. What is surprising with during the past year and this year is that what is really selling out in Colombia are the Latin acts, both pop, rock, and of course urban Latin acts. This year we are also excited. We will sell out Mon Laferte. We are selling out 3 arenas with Mana, and of course we're like 3 weeks, no, around 1 month away of announcing our Festival Cordillera, which is a very, very beautiful Latin music festival, which takes place in September. And I think we will have a very, very, very exciting second semester. We are fully booked for this first one. And of course, with our partnership with Live Nation and OCESA, we're moving a lot of content that 3 years ago we couldn't even imagine. So big things to come, and big national acts touring as they didn't tour for the past 5 years.
Great. Hey, Sebas, besides Treno about to sell out the Movie Star Arena,
Yeah.
what else are you excited about for this upcoming year?
Well, to be honest, many things. I mean, luckily, we are really excited about a ton of local artists that we've seen this phenomenon after the pandemic, that they are selling tickets, whether you are Tanto en Piedra, Los Jaivas, like classical rock old bands, or new upcoming urban acts, etc. But they're all selling more tickets than ever. So that's super. I'm super happy for the health of the local industry, you know, being bigger than ever. So I'm super happy for that, and we are involved in different things. And besides of Trueno that you just said, which is great, we are also doing, I don't know, 2 to 3 arenas with Miranda. We will announce once again Juanes in Chile. Raguayana is selling better than ever. So we are working with different Latin acts that are selling great in Santiago. That's also something that keeps me very happy. And also we're working for some specials events. We're working with something very special with Los Jaivas, that they're one of the most oldest bands in Latin America. Latin music, local music, it's been a big challenge for us, and we are super excited about that, you know. And also we're working for some stadiums for next year, which we are also very excited about that. So that's, but let's wait for Michel.
Michel left.
Yeah, something happened, but maybe we can keep going.
Okay, I can take the torch.
Same
So we're
question.
doing this year again. Yeah.
We
Gilbert,
try.
do you wanna go ahead? Any of both Gilles?
I guess for me, on my side of things is I'm really excited about the continued sort of like what you would call an anchor or tent poles to be able to promote an artist, and some of the things that I'm seeing that help with ticket sales and going on tour is like, at least in the US, some of the big national television shows being more invested in Latinx. For me personally, we just had Gaby Moreno play on the Jimmy Fallon show. And so that was like an amazing thing to happen. So, and we saw her ticket sales go up exponentially after that. And she has other things lined up for the rest of the year. And overall, we're seeing a real big, investment in again, these type of anchors that aren't just necessarily things that we were able to rely on in the past, especially television. So I'm really excited. And I think it's what you would call, at least in the US, trickle-down economics, where Música Mexicana has just like, it's always been huge. Jorge and I have always known it's been huge. I grew up with it. Los Tigres del Norte could play like 4 shows in one night. And it's just that for me, it feels like the data finally has caught up with the amount of passion and the amount of people that love this music. So it's just, it helps someone like me and my artists who tend to be a little bit more on the alternative side. There's a lot more passion and a lot more como orgullo de la música en español y bilingüe. So I'm really excited about these next couple of years.
What about you, Matías? What are you the most excited about?
Well, there's a new government here in Argentina, so I'm excited about Argentina again flourishing on a personal and economic note. We have again Primavera Sound. We'll be announcing the headlining and the acts shortly. That's the biggest festival in the second semester here. We also have hopefully Trueno announcing his new album and going on sale with something big, hopefully. We have a bunch of local acts here that we promote. We are doing a couple of stadiums. There's a comeback of Quilmes Rock for next year that I can anticipate, which is huge. Quilmes has been the biggest festival before Lollapalooza came here. So, and every couple of years we do it. So every time we do it, it's fun. It's epic. So that's coming up next year. So we're really excited. We're looking forward to what's coming up.
Jorge, what about you? What are you excited about?
Most excited about la Residencia de los Bukis in Las Vegas. It's the first Mexican act to play a residency in Vegas. That's a big one.
Wow.
The record-breaking Karol G shows at Santiago Bernabéu in Madrid. We just announced La Última Peda, the Grupo Firme tour. Very excited about that. I don't know about my liver. He's scared. There's a lot of stuff that is really exciting this year.
Great. What about you, Leizer?
We have elections in Mexico this year, so that's definitely exciting, and just floating and see what the music world, the music gods have to give us. I think I remember a little over a year ago, none of us knew who Peso Pluma was. So under that circumstance, who knows who we don't know is the next big thing in a year from now. So just looking at life and at work from that perspective has been something I've enjoyed.
And Gilbert Paz?
Yeah, we've got a lot of things going on this year. The end of the year is slammed with a lot of cool stuff happening. You know, we just announced Rake the other day. We're doing Pandori Flans. We have Jay Wheeler, just to name a few. But not only that, I mean, just the consumption of different type of entertainment, right? Like not everything is music. You know, we're doing stuff in the Christian world. We're doing stuff in the motivational speaker world. We're doing stuff in the comedy world as well. So just continuing to develop that part of entertainment, right? We talk a lot about music, but there's a lot of other things that people and the public want to consume, right? So we're excited about that, and we're excited about the second year of Country Bay. It's a country music festival that we launched last year in Miami in November. It was a huge hit. We're bringing it back this year. On the water, people can come on boats and listen to country music for 2 days. So, you know, that's exciting as well.
Great. Well, I think that it's pretty much a wrap at this point. So Catalina, Leizer, Matías, Jorge, Sebas, the Gilberts, thank you so much for this time that we spent together. Thank you in live for sponsoring the panel, and thank you to LAMC for giving us this opportunity to have some time together and talk about the industry that we all feel so passionately about. So with that, I will say goodbye to all of you. Jorge, you owe me a phone call, and see all of you sometime soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone,
To see you
bye-bye.
all.
Bye bye.